This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Inside of me, I'm kind of giggling a little bit because I have said this at the beginning of so many podcasts, but it needs to be said. And it's so important. And that is that we have things we need to heal from. Now, you may hear that and you say, I don't know about that. I didn't, smash my hand or bump into something. Okay, but we're referring to emotional healing. And that many of it comes from your past. And you could say, my childhood was great. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, that's fantastic. But there's probably things that you're holding on to that you need to heal from. We're going to talk about that today and what that looks like when you work with somebody who has a practice that offers this kind of therapy and understanding and meet you where you are with compassion and care. And what comes from that? First off, a feeling of calm. She is joining us today from upstate New York and looking forward to learning a lot here. She's a licensed clinical social worker, founder, and clinical director at Mindful State Therapy Services. She's Karan Turnquist, joining us on the program. How are you doing today?
Hi, good. Glad to be here.
So we say the word calm, and I saw it just now on your website. You don't know what calm is until you know you've experienced it. And where am I going with that? I have a gratitude journal. I wrote in it today. I always have, there's 3 fields I fill out. $8 on Amazon. It's fantastic. The thing lasts for a year. It walks your hand right through it. And out of those 3 things today, and fill in the blank, I am grateful for. One of those things was I wrote peace, i.e. calm. If you're going through things right now, it may become like a way of life. Like you don't even know the other side of it. But there's common peace out there. What are you hearing, Karan, from many of the people that you work with?
People come in, some are aware, right? They're aware that he's off. They're aware that they don't feel good, and they don't know why. So then there's that, right? Like the baseline for stress in our life is way high. And unfortunately, that means we've got a baseline so high, we don't know what calm and peace feels like anymore. So I get that a lot. And I have to do education, and I don't know what is peace and calm. And I also hear from folks who know that their past is really hurting them, and they want to get to that peace and calm, even though they don't know quite what it feels like, but they're more aware. And so it's really a gambit, but people are disrupted. And I think that's the biggest thing I hear.
Now, I didn't say this other word, but it needs to be said too. Trauma. We need to heal from trauma. Can you we'll go basic here. What does that mean, trauma in our lives, coming from the past?
It's a big buzzword, right? We hear it all the time.
Yeah.
We can medical, like a trauma injury. People talk about it in terms of natural disasters, big T, little t. But you know what? Honestly, trauma is something I experienced in life, whether it be in my early childhood to now, or unfortunately, sometimes right on. And it's not about the event. It's about how I experienced it, how my nervous system encoded it, and then its expression. And that's what trauma really is.
The last thing you said there, you said expression?
Yes, how it expresses in my life.
In other words, how it shows up.
Exactly. Anxiety, depression, nervous system, attachment status, how I see the world, how I treat myself. Little things that people often don't realize until they really sit and can do that self-examination. I'm
going to say, I'm not the trained professional. It's kind of like everything. It's pretty much everything. Like how you pilot, how you look at relationships, how you look at different situations, why you have stress, why you have anxiety, probably, or a piece of coming back from that trauma. Can you give an example? We talk about the big T trauma, where that could be the passing of a relative when you were younger, and things, obviously, they're trauma connected. What about something that would be a little T trauma that could hang you up in life or hold you back?
a breakup, right? So maybe someone dated someone for 6 months and it got kind of serious and but then it's 6 months, right? And someone breaks up and maybe it's even mutual, but then it hurts so bad. And they're like, oh my goodness, like, why does this hurt so bad? It's because it's tagging stuff in the childhood that then the current experience of the breakup becomes really blown up. And then people feel like there's something wrong with me, but there isn't. It's that it kicked up stuff. And that's a great example. I think people experience a lot.
So we're going to go a little deeper here right out of the gate.
Yeah.
It's my belief in the last year, hearing things, processing things, that we're all grieving something. We all are. Why did I even bring this up at this point? You talk about a breakup. Yeah. What is grief? Loss. What is that breakup? Loss of a relationship. And when somebody passes away, you're grieving. It takes a long time to get through that. I'm not going to say get over it, to get through that to a different place. I think same thing with the relationship. Same thing with a lot of situations in our lives. You may have, you left a job, I don't know, 10 years ago. You're grieving the loss of that, and that's kind of a trauma that you're holding on to. Does that make any sense, or am I just crazy?
Oh, it does. Can I get a little more fancy with that? Because
no, please do.
Yeah, really. Sometimes in that, it's not sometimes it's the actual person or the job or whatever. But the other thing that the deeper layers of grief and loss and trauma is grieving the fantasy dying that you had, maybe that person, that future, the job, the career, and you had this fantasy built, and it's not a bad fantasy. It's not like unicorns and rainbows. It's imagining, I am going to move into this company. I'm going to do well. I'm going to be with this person and they're my person. And then you have this fantasy that often has to die to move forward. Now that gets deeper and deeper layers.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that we just went layers deeper.
That's where it hits.
That's where it hits. Yes. You're with somebody for 6 months, 6 years, 16 years, whatever it is. What was your vision?
Yeah.
And we're going to grow old together. We're going to be that. This is my ride and die. They're going to be there. And then it ends.
Absolutely. Or a job, right? It can be anything.
Totally.
But I think a lot of people struggle with the relationships in society.
Sure.
There's a lot of research and books on this now, right? And so I know that it can be equally horrible.
Oh, huge. And now, add now another layer of today, epidemic of isolation and loneliness. It's a thing. It's big. And, one would think, well, seniors, their partner has passed on and da-da-da-da. No, the biggest segment, as I understand it through the CDC, is males 25 to about 35. Your thinking would be, they're hanging out with your buds, playing basketball, whatever you're doing, maybe in video games. No, they're isolated. They're lonely. So when you talk about relationships, if a relationship ends, then now you have something else going on there in terms of loneliness and more to work through.
Well, there's rabbit holes here too. But because when you can't talk about trauma, the nervous system, and this without talking about attachment status and how do I engage with others, because that can promote what you're talking about if I can or I can't relate. And that hits too, right?
Completely. Wow. We got deep here, but you know what? We need to.
It's all connected. It's all connected, right?
But it's all, I'm going to use the word manageable. You can work through this. You can heal from it. Right?
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that you offer at Mindful State to help people move through life?
So much.
Traditional therapy, right?
Yeah. Evidence. I'm an EMDR trainer and a consultant. I offer EMDR. I offer internal family internal family systems. Excuse me. I offer progressive counting, which is another evidence-based trauma method through Ricky Greenwald and TechT Trauma Institute, Child Trauma Institute. And I use all this to treat down to the age of 0. I do infant mental health, working with parents, couples, really whoever.
Wow. You really do offer a lot, and individual therapy, that would be fine, but there's more there. And I have to believe that with the practice you have, the education that you have, the people that you work with, that it's almost as if you can customize the modality for the person, what they're going through, meet them where they're at. Would you say that's right?
Yes, that's why I kept learning. I started my career in 2007, and I have added an evidence base. I collect credentials now because I want to be able to help anyone that walks in my door, and everyone's like a fingerprint. And so you can like put these strings together in an evidence-based way for anyone when you have enough of a base. That's why I do that.
I find that people like yourself that do this work have a thirst to learn more. They're always, let me, what's the next thing I can do? What's the next? Do you find that that's you?
I have a training list. So, and I keep it up yearly. I do it at the end of the year. I think, okay, what's coming? So, yes.
So yeah, it's sort of like your GPS for what you want to learn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Karan, walk us through your journey. Where did this all begin back in the day? Did you, even when you were younger, did you want to help people?
Yes. I was the kid who everyone came to. Unfortunately, adults, because I have my own trauma history, most of us, everyone does. 80% of the population is walking around with a trauma list, right? If not everyone, really, because anything can be on. Everyone has something. And so I was the kid that my friends would talk to. They wanted advice from. So I kind of realized early on that, I don't know, there's something relational here that I'm meant to do. But my career in mental health began in 2007, where I developed a deep interest in trauma, attachment, and deeper nervous system regulation. I realized early on it's all connected. And of course, like you have to add on trainings and practice, but as you do that, you can interweave it. In 2018, I founded my first LLC, and I called it Stress Less Therapy Services. And I wanted to build a relationship-centered, trauma-informed practice. I had this vision of being a healing center in my community. And then what happened is New York State decided Stress Less is too promising, and they wouldn't let me keep my name. So when I did my PLLC, I had to change it. But I love Mindful State, so I'm going to keep both. And I'm now a Mindful State PLLC, Mindful State Therapy Services. And the design for the PLLC is because I'm hiring people and I'm training clinicians so that there's more than just me, because I can't heal the planet. So,
wow, beautiful. The word mindful, that's kind of one that's, we hear a lot today.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Cultivating peace, calmness, stillness. The leading to a statement that someone can make when they self-actualize and really know I am. And then as John Kabat-Zinn says, I can't control the waves, but I can learn to surf. And if you think of mindfulness encompassed in these, the ability to surf and learning that, I think that's a better way to look at it instead of being a monk on a mountain, because none of us are monks on a mountain. Even the monks aren't monks on a mountain. They're humans.
Right.
Right? They would say that too, I'm sure.
Are you, do you meditate?
Yes, daily.
Again, we're going in different directions here, but they all lead to the same one. Calm, peace, a state of being who you are as opposed to what you think other people want you to be. Tell me about meditation. Why is it so impactful for you? Walk us through that.
It's huge. I have a practice where I sit in IFS, I sit with my parts, but then I also have formal sitting practice. And I also informally meditate, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And carving out a time of your day when you're non-doing and just being means you can really just, even if it's 30 minutes, 1 minute, 5 minutes, it doesn't matter how long it is.
Yep.
It's a place of stillness. And that's where I want to start my day, because then my baseline is as low as I can possibly make it, so that through my day, I surf better.
So I just, after years, finally got to a point where I am meditating. And oh my gosh. And this morning, I'll give you an example of it. I'm at Starbucks There was a long line for the drive-through, so I'm like, it's actually nice here, in downstate New York.
Yeah.
40 is nice compared to the blizzard we had last weekend. So, I'm going to get out of my car. I'm going to walk in. So I walk in. Not a lot of people in there because they're online with the cars. So I place my order and I'm waiting. And the sun was hitting the counter in such a way. I stared at it and it transported me back like 2 years ago where I had extra time today intentionally, just kind of worked out that way, where I took a weekend off and I was just hanging with a friend. I didn't even really see them, but he had rented an Airbnb on the ocean. We were just hanging. And I would go get a morning cup of coffee. This is nice, peaceful. I was there again. It was the weirdest but coolest thing, just staring at the sun hitting the counter and that feeling of, you don't have to rush a lot today. You're getting a cup of coffee for yourself and you just take it all in. And I just stared at the sun hitting the counter. I wasn't even here. I was there. I was back in Florida, somewhere else. I got to believe I was meditating in that moment.
That's informal practice, right? The ability to be anywhere and then just take a minute. And that's a mindful minute. And it's so powerful.
Oh,
yes, absolutely. Invaluable.
We see these images, TV and movies where got to get in a certain pose when you meditate. There's been times I've been at the gym, Karen, where I stare at a bolt on a machine in front of me and I might be doing extensions or something. And I'm staring at the bolt. All of a sudden I'm like, I'm not even here. It's almost as if I'm looking from above down on me doing the exercise. And then as I'm doing the exercise, I didn't even know I was doing it. I was like, oh, you're Superman all of a sudden. This is like the weirdest thing. I'm not feeling any pain, discomfort. Just keep going. Staring at a bolt, a tack on the wall, whatever it is. Works for me. I can keep my eyes open and I'm out of here. The goal, clarity and peacefulness and calm.
And focused awareness. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. But you don't know until you know. I guess that's why we're talking about it. What do you want people to know about moving their life forward? What would you say? Like somebody says to you, Karen, but you don't understand. Like I'm stuck in life. I'm in this relationship and it doesn't really support. My job's okay, but I feel inside there's more for me. There's more, but it's not showing up. What would you say?
If you, your child, your baby, your person, or whoever you are, if you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, disconnected, I think everyone should know that healing is possible. Anyone can heal, no matter what, right? And when we address both attachment, the nervous system, meaningful change can happen when we heal and really work with the trauma underneath it. And you can learn more at my website, mindfulstatetherapyservices.com. I mean, there's so much information on there. Feel free. A lot of blogs I'm posting. And, it's just knowing that healing is possible and anyone can.
Would you say that if somebody feels like they're stuck, and that's our very common description, I'm just not moving, and I don't know what it is. Would you say more times than not, there's probably something that they need to heal from?
Absolutely. In fact, everyone who walks in my door, even at the county clinic, everyone had something on their list. And even if it was just a couple of things, when I was at Veteran Affairs, even a good, oh my God, my childhood was perfect. There was something on their list. And so generally there's something, and it's really makes or breaks the end result of a healing process. But hope is always possible. That's, no matter how old you are. So
the amazing part about all of this with the subconscious is it could be the littlest comment that you heard as a kid. You're 7, you're 6 years old, you hear something. It could have been you walked past the kitchen and your parents were talking and you thought it was for you. You hear this comment. Now you've held it in you for your entire life and it's holding you back. Or it's one little thing or a bunch of little things that your brain says, oh, there's evidence of, I'm not good enough. Yeah, there you go again. There you go again. You don't even know you're doing it. You're a kid.
Oh. Well, because it encodes in the nervous system 0 to 10 years old. So it's powerful, those messages, and how it encodes in a kid and a developing brain early on, pre-verbal into, up to 10. And then how it translates on up. And so, yes, what you said was powerful.
Karen, isn't it amazing? I just thought of this now that as adults, we look at kids, the kid rolls all right off their shoulder, no big deal. From what you just said, I see it differently. It's the complete opposite because the nervous system of a child is actually so fragile. They're learning, they're getting cues, they're getting signs, they're forming what they're going to be as an adult when they're 7 years old. Crazy.
Yes, it's huge. And that's why I'm really passionate about prevention and infant mental health and parent support, helping parents become part of the solution because they can be. And then we can prevent encoding. But the beauty is, no matter how old you are, you can rewire your nervous system. So that's the hope part of it, is anyone can re-encode.
I've never heard that term used before, but it really is descriptive. When you say encode, are you referring to when a child is hearing things and kind of encoding their system, their nervous system, their belief system, all of that? That's the encoding?
All of it. How you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see others, how you learn to function, how you learn to attach. It's all like a fancy, amazing computer. We're not, we're obviously humans and we have egos and our souls, or like inside of us, whatever spiritual belief is out there. But what you're looking at is like how it's all encoded in, and we can change it. Yeah.
It's funny when you refer to it as the computer system or program, operating system, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, as adults, we're running off the old Windows 95. You're running off an old operating system as an adult. You're as the child operating system. It's funny when somebody says, "You're acting like a child." We are.
Exactly. Part of me is about 8 right now or something, right? And then how do we recognize and help that part unburden? And that's IFS language, right? But that's true. Yes.
So you have clinicians that also work with you in your practice, right?
I am. I have 3 people, and they're doing. They're growing their cases right now, and I'm looking to hire full time eventually, pretty soon, actually, get someone.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? You're wired to help. That's what you want to do.
Yes. Oh gosh, yes. Yeah.
Beautiful. Again, I'm going to say you're very different in that you have traditional, call it that, traditional therapy, but so many other types of therapies, modalities, and you work, like you said, you can work with a young child or an adult or a family or couples, all of it. How do we find you? What's the best way?
My website, let me pull it up so I don't accidentally say the wrong one. But mindfulstatetherapyservices.com. And that'd be the best way to find me. All the contact information is there. People can schedule consults on there. I have a wonderful woman named Laura who does all my consult calls for me. And it'd be the best. And finding our phone number is right on the website.
Excellent. New York State is your wheelhouse, but somebody's got a question, they're outside of New York State, they can certainly reach out and see if you can help them.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wonderful meeting you. Learned a lot, validated a lot for me. It really did. I look at things a little bit different. Encoding and decoding, I'm not going to forget that one. Thank you for being here today. Lots to talk about next time we get together.
Absolutely. Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.